Hi, my name is Donna Swanson. I'm the Executive Director at Focus Alternative Learning Center. Focus is an agency that works with individuals on the autism spectrum, and we have some members of our panel, the Spectrum Unplugged, and we're going to be talking to you today about school issues.
I'm your co-host, Lucas Hofstadter. Thank you for joining us today. The issue of school has been one that's come up a great deal in the feedback we've gotten from our public speaking presentations and from parents of our clients. And it's a very big issue for us on the spectrum. School is a place that has given a lot of us a lot of positive experiences and some of us some not so positive experiences. And we're here today to share those with all of you and hopefully enlighten all of you as to what life is like for us when we get on the bus and leave home every day.
And this is not to bash schools in any way. It's to enlighten you, as Lucas has said, as to what an individual on the autism spectrum goes through when they go to school. Some of these guys have had very good experiences, and some have had not so good. And it's a definite topic that's worthy of talking about.
We're going to begin by talking a little bit about what helped us in school, what made school easier for us, what really got us through the day, what made the difference between us being able to function or not in the school systems, and maybe even what we enjoyed about it, what really helped us to be able to get the most out of school. So with no further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed comrades, and we'll get the show on the road.
So Alex, what in school, what was helpful to you about school? What helped?
Have smaller, quieter classes. There are no bullies. My teacher lets me use a stress tool.
Can you recapture that?
Yeah, Alex mentioned that he's in a very special school that understands kids with autism very well. And his classes are smaller and quieter. There's not a lot of overstimulating activity going on. He gets to take breaks when he needs to. And they make very, very sure that there are no bullies in the school. It just isn't tolerated. It doesn't happen in this school, which is something that makes a tremendous, tremendous difference. Is there anything I've missed, Alex?
Nope, that's about it.
And they do let you pace when you need to, right?
Yes.
And know that you don't take advantage of that, and that when you need to pace, you need to pace. Do you have to ask permission, or you just get to get up and do it?
Usually have to ask permission.
So you ask permission, but they always let you go, right? Let you pace when you need to? Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Andy?
When I was in high school, I had a really nice guidance counselor that made sure that I got involved in at least something, because I didn't want to do anything, and my parents knew that, so they talked to my guidance counselor, and he got me into track and field, which I really, really enjoyed. So I thank him for that.
So somebody that can help motivate you.
Right.
And again, we talk about autism and relationships. So
Yeah.
when you have a good relationship with somebody
Exactly.
you're definitely somebody that needs a little nudging.
Yeah.
Right? If left to your own devices,
I wouldn't do a darn thing.
You wouldn't do a darn thing,
yeah,
right?
darn thing, yeah.
yeah. But with the right nudging
Yeah.
and the right relationships,
The right people, yeah.
you get to do. And so you were very good at track.
I was, yeah.
That was something
And
that
I
they
still
got
am,
you
yeah.
into. Still are, yep. Still a runner.
Yeah.
There you go. How about you, Colleen?
Some of the things that helped me in school were, as Andy said, having a good relationship with a staff member in the school. For me, it would be my English teachers or my history teacher, or in middle school it was my chorus teacher, my art teacher. And what also helped was having a place to go during the day. During high school, I would have lunch in my school's AV room, because being in the cafeteria was very anxiety-provoking for me. So being in the AV room would give me a place to relax and decompress.
So Alex, his whole school is a nice, quiet school, but you found a nice, quiet room to be able to have lunch in and de-stress.
Yeah, and it also helped, during tests, I was able to go to my school's learning center to take them in a quieter place where I would be able to concentrate on my work.
Okay. How about you, Lucas?
Well, I'd like to revisit the point that's been made, and you'll hear it again and again, the importance of relationships to those of us who are on the spectrum. I cannot stress the importance of this point enough. Autism is a spectrum of relationship disorders, and having even one positive relationship, just a comfort zone that one knows that one can return to, and one knows that one will be listened to and understood, or at least that someone is there who will make the effort. The relationship is extremely, extremely important, especially in a place like school, where there are so many unforeseen possibilities. Things tend to happen unexpectedly. One somewhat knows what to expect, but often does not fully know. So for me in school, it helped to have teachers and a couple of other faculty members. I spent a lot of time hanging out with the custodians because they were a great bunch of guys, and they shared some of my opinions about the school. But people on the faculty that were safe, that I knew would at least try to make the effort to figure out what was going on with me, where I was at, if I was having a hard time with my work, if I was just having a rotten day, if I hadn't gotten enough sleep the night before, or something else was going on. And I think also methods of managing the anxiety that inevitably arises in school. Colleen mentioned the cafeteria as a very anxiety-producing place. We have another young gentleman who's not able to be with us today for this show, but who would say the same thing, that cafeterias in school were extremely difficult for him, that often assigned seating is difficult. You can get lumped in with people who misbehave, and then you take the fall along with them when you haven't done anything. I think it's important to have help keeping yourself organized. That was one thing that I needed in high school. I had eventually a staff member who would go around and gather my assignments at the end of the day and drop them all off for me in a central location, because having trouble with A, managing my own anxiety, and B, organization, I wound up missing the school bus several days because I would have to go to so many different places at the end of the day just to get what I needed. So really having people that you can trust, people you know you can go to, I would say, for me.
And one of the things, Lucas, that you have said, and many of the kids on the spectrum say, that the anxiety for you to go to school was, you equated it with going off to...
I compared it to going to war, because in a lot of ways for me it really was. I'm one of the ones who had more difficult times at school. The academic tasks and especially the social pressures, they're just peer-wise, there are so many in-jokes and different esoteric almost customs that have to be observed. And nobody instructs you on those. They just assume you'll pick them up. And if you're like me, you maybe have a little bit more trouble picking up on those things. So going to school, getting on the bus every day, for me, it felt like what I would imagine those shipping off overseas would probably feel like, going into a zone that they might not come back from. It was just a tremendous amount of anxiety, and it was really those supportive people who helped me to get through that and make it home safely.
So that getting your homework at the end of the day, that just took a huge burden off of you, and it helped you know that you were going to get home.
Absolutely. And it might seem enabling, which is kind of another thing, just with being understood. Often what is for us a stress-reducing mechanism or a coping mechanism, others will tend to see as an escape or being enabled or just being given an easy out, when we could just as easily solve it in maybe a neurotypical way. And having teachers who understood our needs, for me particularly, that understood that I did need someone to go around and help collect my assignments, because by the end of the school day I was just done. You couldn't get me on the bus to go home fast enough.
And
so
I think that's a good point, is that people think because you're smart, especially the Asperger kids, where it's harder to necessarily see what the problems are, because
we present as perfectly ordinary.
Yes, and so that because you present as perfectly ordinary and as somebody who's very smart and articulate, why would somebody like you need to have somebody get your homework assignments? And another thing that really helped you is getting out of gym.
Tremendous.
And not because you wanted to get out of gym, but what was the problem in that setting?
Well, as if I didn't have enough social difficulties just with the peers I had for classmates and the fact that I had to sort of find my own way to survive. Locker room humor is a completely, almost transcendental aspect of social difficulty in high school. It goes just above and beyond the level of anxiety that school would have produced. I mean, you're in with a bunch of you know, a bunch of other guys, and nobody ever instructs you on locker room protocols, so you're sitting in there having somebody steal your gym clothes or throw your gym locker padlock in a toilet or something, and because these are all things I went through. And it just, for all the anxiety that it produces, it is not worth the maybe half hour of exercise you get. If I want to exercise, I'll go to the gym after school, you know?
And, you know, it was very tough also, the transition too. It's not just the actual not knowing the rules, but
getting
having to
changed,
change.
self-consciousness around peers, maybe clumsiness, and then they jump on you for that. It's a very unforgiving society, the locker room, and school can be in general, where if you make one mistake, you slip up, that's it. You have students just completely cutting you down.
I would like to say as an aside that Lucas is now playing baseball with our group homes, and
Under a certain amount of duress.
yes, but he's getting a lot of encouragement. But he said you said it reminded you of the old days of sports. So, and that's something that I think everybody should remember, is that these memories, they don't just go away. They stay with you, and the pain, some of the painful memories. But right now we're talking about what helps. So, what helped you, Emily?
I guess the overall atmosphere of the classes and everything. Like, the smaller the class, the better, and it also depended on the teacher and whether he or she were good at well, not only good at, there's being good at teaching and then, you know, just making it fun. I don't know, I always hated history class, but then it was my 8th grade history class. I was only with one of 4 kids, and the teacher was great. It was I had the most fun, and I loved that history class.
So it was the size, it was the people, it was the comfort zone.
Yes.
And all of that, and being able to have a relationship with a teacher.
Mhm.
And you're not the squeaky wheel in school, so you're kind of quiet and shy in school, and sometimes
Yeah.
you got overlooked.
Mhm.
But so that makes the relationships part even more important.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, RC? What was good for you? What's good for you in school?
Being with friends in class, and again, relationship with a teacher. I really like my chem teacher, and next year he's going to be teaching the pre-calc or the calc, I'm not sure which, and the physics.
Yep.
And I'm going to be in one of the 2 math classes and that physics class, so that's going to be fun.
He must be a good teacher, because those are really hard classes and for you to take, and so he must really be good for you to want to take those classes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, sum it up. What would you say helps, if you had to say it in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, I would say I would say that really it's just essential for us to have people who are willing to meet us halfway, to make the effort to understand our needs and not just write us off as being manipulative.
Very well said. Alex, what is something that is not good to have at school, that's something that doesn't help? Do you remember what you wanted to say? Or should I come back to you? You had talked about bullies, right?
Yeah.
As a bad thing, getting
That's a
picked
bad
on.
thing.
Is that one of the things that you would have said?
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought I heard you say that. So have you been picked on in the past? Not in your new school, but in the past you had experienced bullies? Or you just know that's a bad thing?
Just know that's a bad thing.
Yeah. And we would never bully anybody.
No.
Right? No. Andy, what about you?
I wasn't really picked on that much, but I think probably because I was a pretty good runner, and I got in, like, I sort of fit in with the in crowd, so to speak. So.
What wasn't helpful about
But
school?
I think some of my teachers didn't really understand me that well, and they sort of, you know, they would almost ask, like, why do you want to go out for the, like, I would go to the resource room to take tests sometimes, well, all the time actually, but sometimes they would actually, like, wonder why I would, like, if they weren't really that understanding of me, like, they would try to keep me in the class, like, and say, like, everybody else is taking the test in the class, why don't you do it? So I really did not like that at all. So.
No. So how did that make you feel?
Like I was, like stupid almost, and I was determined to still go out and take the test in the resource room and stuff.
Well, that's one word we can say about you, is
Yeah.
determined.
Yeah.
If you know that, and that was something that was supposed to help you, and these teachers were trying to talk you out of it.
Yeah.
And you knew exactly when you know that you need something, you make sure you get it. Right?
So I still went out and took the test in the resource room. So.
Did you ever tell anybody how that made you feel, or?
A little bit. Like my parents knew about it, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they try to help so that you?
Oh yeah, like they made sure that all the teachers knew that I was supposed to go to the resource room. So.
Yeah. Well, I have to give you credit because that's standing up for yourself.
Oh yeah.
And that's not always easy to do.
Because the paraprofessionals that I had, like if they were in the class with me, they would take me out anyways.
Yep.
But these were the ones that I didn't have a paraprofessional in the class with me.
So these were people that didn't really know what
Right.
their needs were.
Right.
Okay. How about you, Colleen? What's something that wasn't helpful in a school setting?
Something that wasn't helpful was being bullied. I was bullied from like first grade through high school, and sometimes when there's unstructured situations in a classroom or in a cafeteria or a gym, that can lead to kids being bullied, not just kids on the autistic spectrum, but anybody. Stuff that also didn't help was if a teacher didn't really take the time to explain what he or she meant by something, or if how do I say that? If a teacher didn't really it didn't really see me for what I was, or think I wasn't capable of doing something on my own when I knew I could.
You?
Yeah.
So not being
given enough credit for your capabilities.
Yeah, and I didn't really get that a lot in public schools. Sometimes in college there are people who know you have a disability. They get nervous when you want to do something. Sometimes they're like, can you really do that? I know you have a disability and this is hard, but sometimes people with disabilities, we know ourselves more than other people think we do. And if we feel like we can take on a challenge with some assistance, we can do it.
okay.
Being sold short is like a slap in the face if you know it's something you're capable of, especially if it's someone who's supposed to be helping you, like a teacher that's telling you you can't do it.
How about you, Lucas?
Well, in connection with that, I would also agree bullying, and this is another thing that I can't stress enough. Bullying is a serious problem in schools. I've experienced it a great deal myself, more when I was younger, because when I was older, I learned through our program and through just personal experience and a lot of guidance and a lot of good role models and mentors how to better stick up for myself, how to better deal with things. But really just the lack of respect and the lack really even of empathy that I've seen from other students, just the complete casual carelessness with which they'll just so quickly walk all over somebody else's feelings or ego. It's sickening. And I went through it a lot in elementary school. There was also, unfortunately, the lack of supervision also facilitated more of it than was, I don't want to say necessary, but some of it could have been avoided, I guess I want to say, if supervision had been better. A lot of teachers, I think, don't know how to deal with bullying. They aren't really either taught, they're not given any formal instruction on how to handle it, and they often will, at least in my experience, I've had teachers just sort of turn a blind eye and let it continue rather than address it and get into a confrontation. Well,
and bullying isn't always something, there's many ways to be bullied. And part of being bullied is not being accepted. And that, we want to see that change for everybody, not just for people with autism, but we want to see all kinds of differences be celebrated, not criticized.
Which is why we're doing what we're doing, absolutely. And really the cure for bullying is to increase people's awareness and understanding. That's one of our purposes here with this segment. But so that's I think that was probably the most painful thing for me in school.
How about you, Emily? What doesn't work? What have you found that doesn't work in school?
Well, other than bullying, I think being clumped together in a crowd of a herd of sheep, not having my individual needs attended to, because there were certain things I had high anxiety to do, but they said, oh, you have to. Everyone else is doing it. You have to do it anyway, or they wouldn't even give me an option, or even an alternative.
And I'm going to bring up lunch for you and field trips. Two very hard things for you. Lunch was hard because you often ate alone, and you even had people you'd put your books down at a table, and you'd come back and somebody would have moved them, and you really ate lunch alone in high school for the most part when you were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what about field trips?
Well, it was hard because the kids would always go together in groups, but I was always the one left out, so I'd always be stuck with the teachers. Not that the teachers are bad, but I mean, it's kind of but it is kind of embarrassing when it's the kids make fun of you when you're like, they're like, oh, teacher's pet and all that stuff, when it's really not true, and then they make it go on such these hard ones. I've been ones that take me far away places, as far as Florida, and that was one of the hardest struggles of my life, getting away from having to be away from my family and everything.
How old were you when that Florida trip, was that like, you were like 14 or something?
Yeah, I was 14.
14, and on the spectrum, and being told that you absolutely have to go. It was the first time you'd ever been away from your mom, and they basically, and you cried, right?
Yes.
And they basically said, this will be good for you, this will make you a better person, right? And did it?
No.
It didn't, and it still haunts you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we're talking about the isolation and being made to feel more different than you already feel.
Yeah.
And
definitely towards the end of my high school, they tried to generalize everything, and because first they were trying to have more individual needs met, but then they were saying, no, we're gonna have it set, like the rules set this way, and you have to follow the rules. And there's no alternate path, and that's the hardest part I had difficulty with.
being sort of lumped together and not having your needs met.
Yeah.
Not being seen as an individual with individual needs.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And you didn't ask for anything that you didn't need, right?
Uh-huh.
You only wanted help in the areas that you needed help in.
Yeah.
Right. How about you, RC? What is something about school that doesn't work?
Well, a bunch of changes and transitions.
The changes and transitions, and that's so good that you brought that up. Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, it didn't really start until 6th grade, because in elementary school you're just in one class, but it kind of threw me off. The sudden first day of 6th grade, yeah, okay, no more one class.
So up to
Good
6th
luck.
grade, you're in one class, and then all of a sudden you go to a school, and now you're changing classes, changing teachers. And then you were talking about also the block schedules and rotating schedules, and what makes that so hard? First of all, I never understood
It's
it.
confusing.
It's confusing.
And it throws you off.
And what? It throws you off?
Yeah. That and big classes are, it's not that, for me anyway, it's not the amount of students. It's that the teachers don't really teach much, in my experience. They wait until the end of class and give you a bunch of homework.
Okay, so that's not something that you enjoy. You really enjoy the teachers that can really connect with you and teach and have meaning out of the class, and whatever work you have to do should be meaningful. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
go ahead.
First year of middle school, I think I had 4 hours of homework each night, which would have been my school day.
Yep. And was it 4 hours that they actually gave you, or did it take you 4 hours to do it?
No, it was pretty much 4 hours.
Pretty much 4 hours. So that's too much. Not enough time to just have downtime and be a kid.
Homework is another very difficult thing about school for a lot of people as well.
Homework is a necessary evil.
Well,
Homework is a necessary evil?
for right now it is, yeah. I've always felt personally that homework is, I'm sure all of us can relate to this, but others can speak up as they will. Homework is, it takes time away from us being able to be with our families and, as Donna said, to be kids. And it just extends the school day into a realm that the school day should never infringe upon, which is our time at home. And that, you want to talk about setting us up for being more anxious in school. We have to wake up the next morning having not gotten to maybe sit with our families, or having fought with our families over getting our homework done, and then go in the next day. And so it's very difficult, the homework aspect.
I can agree with that. We have 2 minutes.
Okay. Well then,
Go ahead, agree with that, and then
yeah, we can wrap it up.
If you're anxious the night before about something and you're having trouble getting your homework done, you're also more anxious the next day, because not having the homework done means either getting a detention, getting points taken off your grade, stuff that you really shouldn't have to worry about.
So, Lucas, if you were going to sum up very quickly the pluses, if you had to give us an overview to end with, what would you say?
I would say that I really just hope all of our viewers take to heart all of the things that we've shared from our experiences this segment. And if there are any teachers out there watching, or even if there aren't, hopefully parents will help to relay it as well. But it's our hope that what we've shared today helps those who are responsible for caring for the students, be they parents, teachers, to do the right thing, to give us what we need and to understand what we're going through, and to really just help us make it through school and help make school a positive experience for us.
And although Alex said that homework is a necessary evil, his teachers are very understanding. And when Alex can't do his homework, all Mom has to do is write a little note, and it's accepted. And I really think that that's, because it's not, if a kid does not do its homework on the spectrum, it's because something interfered. It's not because you didn't want to do it as a rule. It's because of the anxiety or being tired, something along those lines. Well, let's hope because of this, school is a better place, right?
Yep.
That's what we're all hoping for? All right.
All right, we're going to wrap it up for today. Thank you all very much for joining us again on Focus on Autism. We look forward to seeing you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And join us again.